Welcome to The Other Side of the Bridge with Iron City Paranormal, where they discuss real investigations, first-hand experiences, unexplained moments, and everything that happens when you step off the regular path and onto the other side of the bridge. Just honest paranormal talk, Iron City Paranormal style. And now, here are your hosts, Derek Smith and Dan Metelsky.
Episode 2. I can't believe it. We survived the first week. Now we're back for the second episode.
For now, continue moving forward.
Yes. So Derek and I talked for an hour the last time. I'm sure that we
55 minutes.
I'm sure that we bored people to death just talking about us. So today we are privileged to have the remainder of Iron City Paranormal on with us, and we are super excited to bring them out in a minute to, just kind of put the full equation together. So,
That's right.
So everybody can meet the whole team. Derek, you and I have, like I said, we talked last week. We started as a bachelor party with 11 people, I think. Then it was you and I for many years.
It dropped down to just the two of us, and I mean, it worked out well. I would think, but
yeah, and we
never hurts to change a little bit and grow and evolve.
Yeah, you and I are unfortunately the subject of being way too particular. Right?
That's true.
I mean, we are very specific with the way we want to do things. We're very adamant that things are done respectfully. We're adamant that things are done with the team in mind, right?
There's also a level to that shouldn't really need to be said, right? Like there's unspoken rules to a certain point, but at the end of the day, we mesh with people, and we just expect certain things out of people, and it is hard to find people that you can kind of trust from top to bottom. We're spending how many hours doing these things, and you have to be able to trust what they're doing, and you have to be able to kind of put it on their back sometimes. Neither of us ever want to be, the full like the attention on us the entire time, right? Nor should it be. And in a lot of cases, we've gone into places before where some of these unseen things don't want to talk to men. You go into some of these places where it's children and you have, two, well, I don't want to say too tall, because that's not the case at all. One tall and one short, both just men with these big scraggly beards and coming into these places. You'd really think a little kid wants to talk to people like that all the time? I don't think so, and I think that we've proven that. So adding other people to this equation has done tremendous things for what we're trying to accomplish, and I think the evidence and just everything that we've gotten from them as a team has kind of spoken volumes to that.
Yeah, so here we are talking, and we told everybody we're not going to talk this much. So we're going to bring the first person in. So we're going to do this by join order, so to speak.
Yeah,
right. So the first person we're going to bring in is Erin. You want to do her little spiel there?
Yeah, Erin is she's just kind of been lifelong friend of Iron City, of us, and she joined late 2024. So she's been doing some awesome things with us. If you want to introduce yourself, Erin, floor is yours.
Absolutely. Yeah. So my name is Erin. I grew up with these guys. I actually grew up right next door to Derek. And all of us went to school together, and it wasn't until, I want to say, was it 2022, 2023 when we ran into each other at the
Mars Rumble, right?
The Mars Rumble, yeah. Yep. And I hadn't even realized that you guys were doing this. It was so interesting. And even through our conversation, Derek, just realizing how many things we'd experienced as well whenever we were younger.
Right.
I've always been a sensitive and been experiencing things my whole life, but didn't really come into talking about that or having conversations with people about that until I was much older. So it was really great to reconnect with you guys at that point. And then, yeah, just jumped right in. And we started rolling pretty quickly once we were able to get on an investigation together.
So this
Yeah,
is
I mean,
something
if you think about it,
I want to talk about later, Erin. But there's a very big component of what the value that I find in having you as part of the group is you are making me much more comfortable as well, and you're teaching me, right? I mean, it's always something that I strive for, is to continue learning in my life.
Yeah.
And wasn't I have some abilities as well, I think, right? And I'm kind of honing in on that a little bit, and it's with Erin's help.
There's the lack of confidence, though. We know you
well
do.
Yeah,
well,
exactly.
I mean,
Derek and I know
but
this.
I'm still figuring that out, right? And for the longest time I had vibes, I had feelings, I had whatever you want to call them, but I wasn't it wasn't anything more than, I thought I was scared, right? I thought the feelings that I had was fear, right?
Yeah.
But what it turns out to be, through having Erin with the group, that is something that I can't thank you enough, because you're teaching me as we go, right? But I want to talk about that later.
I appreciate it. It's been fun. It's been fun because you say, like, I'm teaching you, but I'm also learning in the process too. Like, when we are in those moments where we're vibing together and we're like trying to figure out what's going on and we're diving into the feelings that we're having, I'm teaching you, but then you're teaching me as well to trust the feelings and the intuition that I'm having and feeling. So it's kind of, it's a beautiful thing that we're just kind of like rolling and moving and like developing together,
Yeah, no, I know. I couldn't say it better myself. I think it's great, right? I mean, it's making us a better team, right?
Agreed.
Just recently, because I want to bring Sabrina in, I don't want to leave her sitting backstage for too long. I can see her down at the bottom, and she looks lonely. Sabrina was somebody that we met just recently, through actually doing another podcast, right, Derek? I mean, that was something that, we were on a podcast with somebody that we were on with before, but then this time around he had a co-host, which was Sabrina, who I'm going to bring on right now. Hi, Sabrina.
Hi.
And we very quickly jived with Sabrina. Sabrina is, quite a special unicorn of a person as far as, her abilities are concerned. She's, been a keynote speaker. She's a paranormal investigator now. I think that was something on your resume that hadn't been checked yet, right, Sabrina?
Right.
You're a Reiki practitioner. You're a psychic medium, energy healer, intuitive guide, podcast host, and founder of the Next Win LLC and Soul Sync Collective companies. Sabrina, welcome to Iron City.
Thank you. Thank you guys for having me. I'm super excited to do this.
Yeah, it's great to have the full team together, because like I said, last week, Derek and I sat here and talked for an hour, and we had fun. We had a lot of fun with it, but it's always nice to have the team together. So guys, we talked a little bit last week, about why we do this, right? So I think that we should start out with, with Erin. What got you into paranormal investigation, besides knowing us, right? Like what got you interested in the paranormal?
Why did you want to spend more time with us? Is what he's saying.
Right. Which is the
question.
Which is the title of the show. Yes, we have friends, right?
Yeah. Yes. Well, like I said before, like I've been experiencing things my whole life, right? Like I remember feeling things that were out in the woods behind the house, Derek, which we've talked about before. I remember talking to my mom about that at one point and her being like, oh, there's nothing back there. She's sensitive like I am. And now she talks about, she's like, oh yeah, I don't go back there. I'm like, okay, thanks.
And that's one of those things that, like you said, you didn't talk about, right? And you didn't have a clue we did this. And
No.
I thought that was one of those things whenever I experienced things back in those woods that I thought that it was just me, right?
Yeah,
And then
exactly.
we reconnected, what, 30 years later, and it's like,
Right?
wait a second,
Yeah.
you
So-
saw these things, experienced these things too.
Yeah.
For the sake of the podcast, can we
Yes.
get into that a little bit? Like, when we talk about the woods, right? I think
Yes.
I don't even think
So-
I'm fully aware of that. Like, what happened
Yeah.
there?
So in my experience, where we lived, right? We lived in just a little neighborhood. Derek lived in a house directly beside me, and a couple houses down, where I experienced things. There was 2 houses down. That down behind their house, it was in the woods back there, but they had an old horse barn. And what are the things where the horses run around in? You know, like the little oval
Round pen.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So they had one of those guys. They didn't have any horses anymore, but they'd actually converted it. The woman that lived there had converted it to this old, she had a huge garden. I remember going down there. You guys remember, if you guys know me now, like I'm huge into gardening now. I love it. Whenever I was younger, I would go down there and they used to tell me all the time, like, hey, you can go down there whenever you want. Feel free to roam around. Like, and I was able to just go creep down in their garden barn thing all the time. And they were totally okay with that. You would go down there, you'd go into this corral, and there'd be like, they had the mammoth sunflowers that were 14 foot tall and amaranth everywhere that was just drooping. It was just like walking into this whole other world. And I remember going down there and like when I would go into this area, just feeling like I was transported somewhere else. It was like I walked into a whole other, and I used to love it down there. I felt so welcome and just full and just loved. And I just felt all these positive things when I was there. But when I left, I would run. Like as soon as I would cross, there's a little bridge that went over the creek. As soon as I would cross over that bridge, I knew there was someone behind me, and I was running without looking back over my shoulder, back up to the house until I was in my own yard. So it was a very weird converse. It was like a very weird feeling down there, right? But I always had a feeling that it was something tied, like it was something tied to the amaranth. There was something tied to the sunflowers. There was something tied to the corn that was down there. There was so much that was tied to those plants. And whenever you know more about those plants, you know how much those are tied to the Native American cultures in the area, right? And especially with Derek's own experience, which I'll have him tie back into, I don't see people, but I feel their energy and I feel their essence. Like I feel who they are and what they are and where they are and their age and their race and things about their stories. I feel all of that, but I don't ever see them. Whereas Derek saw someone that fits.
Yeah, which
I
don't see, like, I'm jealous whenever people see these things.
Yeah.
I'm jealous when people see the shadows down the hallway. I'm the one that's, I'm not seeing it right there, right? And it's funny though that you say things like that, because in the past, that was one of my first things. It's just, I saw this Native American figure back there. Like it was what you would picture it as, it was tall, dark skinned. He was bending down in the creek, looked like he was picking up like a thing of water, like, I don't know, like a canteen almost. And he would bend down like he's in the middle of doing something, and I just paused. I froze when I was back there. But yeah, like you're saying, Erin, it was just the woods seemed like they went on forever back there.
They did, because
there wasn't anything
it was like it, right? Like it was just woods and woods and woods. Right. There's another road that's a couple acres back, but like you go back there and it's just quiet with creek and woods, and it's just like
it was like a ravine. So on both sides you had the woods, and then it dropped down to like a stream at the bottom. We played paintball back there when I got older. It was a good area for that kind of thing. And but the from how much that I've learned and everything doing the paranormal investigative side of things and researching, it did seem like you were stepping back in time.
It did.
Like there was something tied to that land with the Native Americans, exactly like you're saying. You could feel it. It was an energy shift. It was peaceful when you went back there. It was wonderful.
I do remember feeling like once I got past where that garden was, there was a space whenever you walked back there a little bit further where the creek was back there, and it branched off. And I remember going back there one time, and I only went back there one time, and I felt like I shouldn't be back there. Like I felt like I was trespassing substantially. And I only went there once and I never went back there again. Like I was welcome where the garden was and I was accepted there and there was a positive feeling there. But once I crossed over to where you would have seen him in the creek, like I was not, that was their space. And I was not welcome there.
Sabrina, have you had experience with Native American spirits in your, in your dwellings in the paranormal community?
Yeah, actually. So what's crazy is you guys are talking about like a Native American experience that you had, and this is how you've like discovered that you guys had this in common. When I was growing up, I grew up in a small town called Mayville, and I lived in this house that ironically was buried on it was built on an Indian burial ground. And
no kidding.
so I was the only person that had experiences in my house, though. Like my mom used to tell me that it would be like the dog or the cat or something in the house that I was getting freaked out over. But this one experience specifically, I could hear a Native American flute sound. And it's like,
oh, wow.
I'm not making that up. Like I hear that. It sounds like it's
real. Yeah, that's crazy.
So is that what got you into this then, Sabrina?
Oh no.
Was those kind of experiences or way before that?
Those kinds of experiences,
okay.
Yes. Okay. I had a great aunt that also had a haunted house, and I would stay with her all the time. And she would tell me the story about this like Victorian lady that would walk up and down her stairs. And so I would stay up at night, like staring at those stairs, wanting to see this lady.
Just waiting.
Yes. And I did see her once.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
When I was growing up, my grandmother lived in a house it was closer to the city of Pittsburgh. And when my aunt and mother were growing up, they very much had the same story where they had it was a pretty cool third floor attic, right? And you could go up there and like it was like a living space up there as well as an attic. And they would tell each other stories about an old witch that would come down out of the attic, and they would see her in the hall. And I don't know if they ever saw them or not, but that was kind of when she still had that house when I was younger. My grandmother, she lived there for quite a while. I was always terrified of seeing this witch, right? Because I was told that there was this witch. So I was like, I very much feel you on that. That's scary to me. Old ladies coming out of the attic.
Yeah. Who wants to see a witch when they're young?
Yeah.
Right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So Sabrina, what got you into everything else that you do? I mean, your resume is very, very lengthy, right? With all of these spiritual connections and energy healings and all. So what took you down this path?
Yeah. So, well, it started when I was 15. I used to play with tarot cards. And
play with tarot cards. Oh, that doesn't sound like a good start.
I played with tarot cards and the Ouija board. Like, oh yeah, we did Ouija. And everybody told me how scary those things were. It's like, don't mess around with those. You don't know what you're getting into. And I never, knock on wood, I never had a bad experience with the Ouija board or anything like that. Like I lucked out with that. And yeah, but whenever I would like step forward and say anything that I was feeling with my intuition, people would just shut me down, telling me that I was just, making stories up and things like that. So it was very much a gift I just kept to myself my entire life, pretty much up until about a year and a half ago.
Yeah, it really sucks whenever people, I mean, we hear those stories all the time, right? Like it happened to me with the Native American in the back in the woods. I would tell somebody about it. It's like, oh, you don't talk about things like that. Yeah. I would be so curious how things would be different for you. Like how much further along in your journey you would be if that didn't happen. Or more open to things like that, back then. Like where would that have taken you now? I always think like that. And I hope that we're opening people up in like a next generation from, what we do and being open and hearing people too, that maybe the next generation won't have those hurdles to have to go over. Right. I mean, that's just, I can only imagine where you would be at now because you're so skilled at what you do as it is, from only this, from being, shut down when you were earlier on when you were younger. So, where would you be now if that didn't happen, right?
Yeah, that's a great
What's
question.
beautiful is with all of that, you still got to the path that you were supposed to be on. Like even with all of
That's
the
true.
discouragement and with people not encouraging or allowing that to like blossom, like you still came here and you're still in a very powerful place despite that.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And honestly, I think that it kept me more humble because if
That's
I
true.
would have developed my skills at an earlier age, I could easily see how being a teenager and the troublemaker I was then, how cocky I would get with it, or,
Right.
how many rules I would break that I wouldn't break now.
That's true. If you put it in that context too, one thing that we always say is, we don't believe in coincidence. So things like that definitely did happen for a reason, and
Yeah,
it did take you to to where you are now.
Mm-hmm.
exactly. Yeah.
I think you and I have talked about that a little bit too, with like he and I had a different experience in that we both came from families with sensitives in them. So whenever we would explain the experiences that we had in the past, like that, it was met with a different energy than that. So it is very interesting to see like how that diverges and how it kind of helps like inform how you know what I mean, like interact with those sensitivities now.
Yeah, I agree.
So what was it, Sabrina, that you said a year and a half ago was whenever you started to, go down this road, so to speak? Like, what was that aha moment for you?
Just a lot of big change,
Okay.
like for years and years and years. I had gone through like some pretty terrible experiences with different forms of cancer and surgeries and degenerative disc disease and an immune disorder. And it was like these things just kept hitting me one thing after the other. And it was for such a long period of time that there comes a point in that journey where you're like, I don't want this. I don't want this anymore. I want a way out. I just want to be happy. And so you can either let it take you down or you can figure a way out. And I just pushed through it. And that's when I got into hypnotherapy, because I was looking up what can I do with my mindset to change the way that I'm thinking right now, because I was in a victim mode.
Okay.
Well, it obviously worked.
Yeah.
You were able to push through it to this point and get on the other side of it.
Yeah.
It's incredible that you've made that kind of journey, that you made those kind of leaps and to get to where you are now. And like Dan was saying, the paranormal investigative, something that had eluded you, but it's actually, you sent me a picture. I don't know if you sent it to the group or not, but you finally got some of your own paranormal investigative tools. So you're definitely all in now.
Definitely.
So we're running up against the ad break, but that's one of the things I want to wrap this first part up, right? All of I think everybody that's listening can tell, right? We jive, right? We are all above everything else. We're friends, right? And that is what makes us a strong team, and it's also what I think that what brings us safety within those investigations, because we are a united front. We're not one going after one thing and one going after another thing. We are all in it together, right? We're by the power of all of us, like we summon Captain Planet and he comes out and he saves the day, right? That's very much the way we work. And I want to get into that a little bit more in the second part after the ad break. But we have a lot more story to tell. So please stick around with us after these few minutes of ads here. And then we will jump right back into it and go further down the path, further across the bridge, and actually be getting into some things in real life investigations that we've encountered as a team, and how we've used each other to get through those things, and not only to get through them, but also pull more information out of the spirits we were interacting with, right? So we'll get into that after the break. So please stick with us.
The truth, it's out there, and it's waiting for you. The Unexplained Network is your source for the best in paranormal programming, live video streaming, and audio streaming from hauntings, UFOs, Bigfoot, cryptids, and the ever-expanding realm of the unexplained. Listen live or on demand now on Spreaker, Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeart, and Pockets all over the World Wide Web. The Unexplained Network, where unexplained lives. The new book, How to Research a Haunted House by paranormal investigator Margie Kay and professional researcher Violet Wisdom, is now available from Unex Media. This one-of-a-kind book explains how to do research on a house with uncommon methods and resources used by historic home researchers, and how to determine who may be doing the haunting and why. How to research a haunted house can be used by homeowners, renters, investors, and it should be in the library of all professional paranormal investigators. Get this unique book at unexmedia.com or amazon.com. That's unexmedia.com or amazon.com. The Unex Network presents a health and wellness spiritually based brand of hemp-derived CBD products made by Hopewell Farm in Harrogate, Tennessee. We apply our Cathara energy work with all of our plants and products. Our products made in small batches with only 2 ingredients of pure hemp, full spectrum crude oil, and coconut-derived MCT oil. Third-party lab tested for potency and legal THC levels with 6 strengths of 1 ounce oil to choose from. Know what you're buying and get what you pay for from Hopewell Farm. Applied directly to a specific area, Hopewell Farm topical salve in 1 ounce and ½ ounce sizes, made with pure hemp crude oil, comfrey extract, and all natural ingredients. Find the Hopewell Farm link and coupon code on the Unex Network website at unexnetwork.com. That's unexnetwork.com.
Okay, so obviously, we have all had our fair share of reasons to be into this, right? Erin and Sabrina, you guys were talking a little bit about it, and there's Derek as well. My story is a little bit simpler than that, right? Grew up in a haunted house, scared the crap out of me. I ran from it for years until Derek. I mean, I was to the point where I would not ride the Pirates of the Caribbean ride when I was a kid at Disney World because I was afraid of everything, right? And growing up with Derek as a friend kind of got me out of that a little bit, but also terrified me more because we used to scare each other during horror movies and everything else. It really wasn't until we started doing this that I lived in this bubble, right? I lived in a bubble of fear, not only around horror movies. I mean, I watched horror movies, but I mean, just being scared in general. I didn't go to a haunted house, like a fake haunted house, until I was in my 20s because I was afraid of them, right? And it stemmed from my mother just traumatized me as a child because she knew that I was living in this haunted house because she lived in it as well and had experienced things. But every chance she got, she hid around the corners and would jump out at me. So I would be expecting to see a ghost everywhere I'd walk in that house. And I'd have dreams in that house that just terrified me. There is a part of that house in the basement, because she still lives there, that I just don't like. But she would do everything she could to scare the living heck out of me. And I cried. When I was in my 20s, she scared me so bad. She hid on the steps and just scared the living heck out of me, and it made me cry. So I was kind of like traumatized against, accepting this kind of stuff. But it's
All that where you got to.
I still made it.
Can I ask you something about that experience?
Uh-huh.
So now that you're older and you're also a sensitive, can you like walk in that house and tell what it is now, so it's at least soothing, or?
Yes, I can. Well, I can. Well, so I don't have the same abilities that you have as far as being able to tell exactly what it is. I'm very confident that I know who it is because of the history of the house. We believe it was the former owner of the home. There's actually a picture of him that was painted in the basement in the tool room that just scares the living heck out of me. His name was Mr. Bach, and it was almost like a punishment, right? Like if we would screw around as kids, like my mother would be like, "We're gonna get Mr. Bach, we're gonna send him after you," like it was. Obviously, that's an exaggeration, but it's also kind of on point. So I can't tell exactly what it is, but I find myself much more comfortable there for sure. To the point where, of course, now we have all of the equipment. Now we have all of the experience behind us and under our belts to say, I could go in there and provide a story to it. However, now the shoe's on the other foot, right? Now my mother is almost too afraid of letting us come in.
She doesn't want us to, exactly.
Because she's and the activity continues. After 38 years, they've had the house probably close to 40 years. That activity does still continue in the house. It goes through its ebbs and flows, but now that we are doing this, I would like to get back in there to try to. I think it's a little selfish. Like I think I would like to put a name to it just so I know.
You were tortured long enough. I think it's only fair.
I think it's true. And I'm hoping she would listen to this one day and she hears all of this. So we may just do it by force one day. She goes on vacations and we'll just go in there and we'll let you know. But yeah, I definitely think that doing this helps me get over that fear. Right. But for the record, I do go to fake haunted houses now, just so in case anybody wants to call me on that later on, I do go to haunted houses now.
There's proof.
So, Erin, I think you also grew up in a haunted house, didn't you?
Not necessarily. My grandmother's house was very haunted, and I used to stay over there all the time. So they were snowbirds. They lived down in Florida part of the year, and they came up to Pennsylvania during the summer. But whenever they were home, I would stay with them pretty often, like I would say multiple times a month that I would go sleep over. And this is the house that my mom grew up in. And it's interesting the similarities between our stories and some of the differences, right? Like my mom grew up as a sensitive, and I remember talking to her about some of the things I would experience there. And she'd be like, "Oh yeah, that's just the guy that's on the main floor. That's just the woman that walks around upstairs." And it wasn't until I was a lot older that we started talking about the thing that was downstairs that none of us liked. Mm-hmm. Like, you know what I mean? That I never realized what that unease was until like I had a conversation with my mom much older, and she also would have such discomfort down there. And like, we realized it was not necessarily a man or a woman like upstairs, but it was something that was downstairs that was territorial and didn't like people in its space. But even hearing the stories that she had whenever she was growing up, she grew up and stayed in the room that I would sleep in whenever I would sleep over. And she would wake up every single night at the same time with the woman walking up and down upstairs, same time I would go run into my great-grandmother's room, right, and sleep in there. But she would tell stories about how, the one time she woke up and she saw this woman and the man at the end of her bed. And she went out and said to my grandfather the next morning, like, "Oh, I had the weirdest dream that I woke up and there was a man and a woman standing at the bottom of the bed." And my grandfather's sitting there eating his cereal or whatever. And says, "Oh yeah, the woman that looks like this and the man that looks like this." And he described them to a T. And my mom was like, "Yes, them." And he's like, "Oh, yeah.
By the way, geez."
Yeah.
He's like, "I see them too." And just like went about, like, it was just a normal thing. Right. Like, and so having grown up in that way and like having those open conversations with my mom, because she has also made this journey with us a little bit as well. It's been interesting. Like even that, like I took my son, I live only 10 minutes away from that house now. And so I was driving to go pick my dad up yesterday down in Beaver Falls. And I said to my son, who's 5 years old now, he's starting to ask questions about like who my grandparents were and who my, where his grandma grew up and those kind of things. And so I drove him past the house and I still have such a draw Like, we sold the house years ago whenever my grandmother passed away. We don't own it anymore. There's another family in there. Like, oh my goodness, I would kill to be able to get in there and do an investigation in there and have
So
some
you can
closure
still
and
feel
have
it then?
something
I mean,
to do.
there's still a draw?
Yeah, driving past
Oh, wow.
there, like, you can still feel, I can still feel the thing downstairs. Like, even now, like, I'm like, yeah, I can still feel the thing downstairs, and I can still feel the woman's there for sure. The man used to meet us at the front door whenever we would come in, just to make sure we were good, and then we'd tell him, like, hey, we're just here to check on the house, and he'd leave us alone. But yeah, even driving past, like, I could feel like a pretty distinct pull to the house, and I would love to be able to, like, what I would do to just go knock on the door and be like, hey, listen, would love to come in and see what's going on here, you know.
Well, I think it's interesting. We talk about the whole thing with how our mothers were, like, and the difference between, you know, myself and Erin, and then Sabrina, the way that your parents were, right? But I'd be curious from a professional standpoint, Sabrina. I don't want it to sound like, I mean, you know, don't fault my mother for anything. We had a lot of fun in growing up. Like, I don't want to make it sound like it was not fun, like when she was scaring me, right? But from a professional standpoint, and as far as like the things that you get into, like looking at spiritual awakenings and things for people, is that a common theme that you see? Like, when people are raised in an accepting environment with this kind of stuff, that they're more awaken, or what? They're more woke, I guess, as far as the spiritual world is concerned.
Wait, we got to get that Iron City dictionary out. We got another one.
So, well, when it comes to spirituality, I think that, yeah, the environment that you're raised in very much does make a difference in how accepting you are of paranormal experiences or even energy shifts and sensitivities like that. I was always restricted, but then again, I kind of found my own way with that because I was always drawn to it. So I it's not like I didn't kind of explore that on my own, but I do think that if I had more encouragement, kind of like Erin did, then yeah, I probably would have understood things a lot earlier than what I do now.
Well, yes, and I appreciate that, and thank you for the comments. I also think that even though my mother and father never said ghosts aren't real, right? I mean, that was never something that they came out and said. In fact, they very much the opposite. They acknowledged what we brought to them, or what it was me, right? I have two sisters, one older, one younger. They don't see anything. They don't experience anything. They don't feel anything. I, for some reason, have been, you know, passed the torch, so to speak. But not having them say there's nothing, I still had to have that awakening, right? I still had to have that. I don't know what clicked. I don't know what it was. I really don't know what it was. I'm still terrified when we go do this. I will be honest. There's always that pit in your stomach. But again, we talked earlier, I think that's what works, right? I think that it's healthy to have
It's a healthy boundary. That's exactly what that is. I mean, that's
right.
Yeah.
You're not putting up a wall necessarily, but you're realizing that there is a potential of something being there, or coming home with you, something like that.
I feel like
there's a reason we do these things, you know.
Yeah.
I feel like there's also a level of respect whenever you enter. So like, if you're going into a place and be like, these things are irrelevant, they can't impact me in any way, I can walk into their space and do whatever I want without repercussion, and it's going to be fine. Like, that's going in with a level of disrespect that we don't conduct in our investigations. Like, going in with a certain level of fear and understanding, like, in the back of our mind, like, these people are real, they have real experiences, they have real emotions, they had real trauma in their lives, and going in with that respect towards them also comes with a level of fear for what they could potentially harbor towards you or do to you. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I feel like there's something to be said for that.
Oh, absolutely. I agree with that too. Like, there has to be that balance, that give and take of, you know, where you do have a certain amount of fear, where you do understand you can encounter something that could potentially affect you in a negative way. And I think having that balance is really what they respect as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so let's dive into that a little bit further. So in the first episode, Derek and I talked about, things that were very impactful to us during investigations, right? That kind of like, it wasn't a gotcha moment or an aha moment, but it was like the thing that really, stuck with us, let's say. Sabrina, I know you've only done a few paranormal and true investigations, but you've been around things. Like, what was that one thing for you? Then we'll go to you, Erin. But like, what was the one thing for you that really made you like realize, I'm in this?
It's funny because it wasn't an actual paranormal experience. It was an experience that I had with a friend of mine. I just had what would be considered a premonition. I just had a flash vision popped in my head, a really overwhelming, horrible feeling that something bad was going to happen. And I could see this accident. And I'm like, that is where my friend is going. She's going to be there in 2 hours. I need to give her a call and at least just, forewarn her.
Wow.
Yeah. And that's what I did. And I ended up being right. It was the exact time that I saw on the clock, which was 3:34 p.m. It was in the exact expressway lane that I had seen on the same route that I had also seen on the sign in my vision.
That's insane.
So did they come up with Final Destination, the movie, because of you? Because that's pretty much what happened, right? That's wild. I hadn't heard that before. That's a pretty cool story.
Yeah. And just knowing that that was something that happened to me and I wasn't making up everything else that I had experienced before then was just so confirming. So it's like, okay, so now I think that I'm safe to get into other things like picking up energy and what does negative energy feel like compared to positive.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's something. All right, Erin, beat that one.
I don't know. I think that might have been a mic drop, man.
That's pretty amazing. Yeah, that's pretty incredible. So I think in terms of on our own investigations, the one that was most impactful for me was that first one that we went on, which for me was Greene County Historical Society. So when we went in there, I was also very scared. It was the first time I had done a paranormal investigation at all. It was the first time that I was there with you. Well, I went for a partial investigation that first time, which that was before I had looped in with these guys. I was pregnant with my second at the time. Right. And one of the entities that was there was very interested in my little one, who I also believe is probably sensitive. And so I ended up dipping out after we had done the initial walkthrough. I don't think I stayed for any of the paranormal investigation itself.
Yeah, what you're referring to was just so everybody knows, that's Hillview Manor up in Newcastle.
Hillview Manor. Yeah,
we've been there quite a few times, but yeah, whenever it was the walkthrough that you were there for, and then as soon as we kind of went back to the break room and got all of our tools ready and everything, you were like, all right, I gotta go.
I mean, I was getting touched on it. There was definitely a lot of energy being pointed my way, specifically because I was heavily pregnant at that point. I probably was like maybe 7 or 8 months pregnant, maybe. Wow. I can't remember exactly, but I was carrying heavy at that point. And so it was not a not obvious thing that I was pregnant. They were very interested in him. So I dipped out early on that one. Anyway, I digress. So the one that I came to that I was actually there for a full investigation was at the Greene County Historical Society. And I was so nervous and so scared. There was a level of fear because I've only had negative experiences with entities up until this point. I had things that had attached themselves to me, had grabbed me, had the experiences at my grandmother's house with the thing downstairs that scared the living daylights out of me. Like, it was all a lot of negative things. But for this particular time was the first time that I kind of just went in and allowed myself to trust the intuition that I had and the feelings that I had and just stand in that energy. And in particular, the morning room was one where I kept on getting drawn back to that room. I kept on getting my attention pointed in a certain direction towards the morning art that was there. And I think being able for us to have some of the experiences and find some of the evidence that we did there, which Derek, I'm sure you could probably pull up or do your thing there. But in particular, the feeling like I was getting my attention directed to the morning art, feeling like I had a hand in the middle of my back. And then for you guys to be able, using the technology that you had to be able to capture that, really kind of was an aha moment for me that like there's something here and what I'm feeling is real, and here's an evidence that shows that, right? Like whenever I'm feeling a hand on the small of my, like the middle of my back pointing my direction at that picture, just to pay homage to that and to leave space for that. And I felt like we were there doing what that entity needed us to do at that point.
Yeah, so the morning art isn't something that is necessarily common, and not anymore.
Well, that's just a picture that has a sun rising over the horizon, right? That's just
that's what morning art is,
or like a plate of eggs, right? What is morning art?
So, yeah, no, go ahead.
So morning art is like before people were able to take pictures or keep a memento of a person, they would take parts of particular, I think they used mostly women's hair, correct, Derek? And they would create these like really, really, really intricate patterns and things that they would be able to put on their wall to commemorate that person and to stand as a memorial to that person using pieces of their hair. And I don't know if they used other pieces like scraps of fabric or anything like that.
They would use anything that they thought was important to someone. Yeah. Whether it was in their life or something that was gifted thing, but it was basically like putting it in a shadow box is what we would kind of think of now.
Mm-hmm.
But that room in Greene County, it's like filled with it. It's anything that was gifted to them. And it was just it was artwork. It really is. And it was crazy that you say that you were directed toward it, because I believe in this picture here, you can actually see on kind of the other side in the blue, you can see some of the outlines of some of the artwork there that they were directing you towards. And we heard footsteps in the room next to us, even to the extent of cat balls moving. And then you felt something on your back here.
I felt something on my back. And Dan, if I remember correctly, you were feeling like some unease as well when you were directly near that morning art there. Like you were feeling like, I don't remember exactly what it was, but
yeah.
You felt something.
I just felt like that. Because I didn't know what that was at the time, right? I didn't know that morning art was what it is. And that was the first investigation that I think that we started to talk about, focusing in on the feelings that I had or what have you.
Right.
And just walking through the room with those, yes, I felt drawn to look into a very small corner that there was nothing to look at other than that art, right? And when we were in that room specifically is whenever I started to get images coming through, and then you started coaching me through all of that, but that's a whole other episode all by itself. But yeah, I mean that area, that room, that tiny little room had a lot going on in it, right?
It did.
That building did, and I'm sure we'll talk about it on future episodes. But yeah, that I was definitely drawn to that artwork while we were there. Okay, so we're kind of running out of time here. I did have some questions that I wanted to ask the group. And specifically Erin and Sabrina, because like I said, Derek and I talked a lot the last time. And these are questions that we touched on that weren't actually questions. It was just something that we talked about the last time. But starting with Sabrina, out of the four of us, who dies first in a horror movie?
I think it's gonna be you, Dan. Sorry.
Oh, come on!
It's not what I was expecting.
Oh, that is so. This is like a college essay. Why? Why am I the one that's gonna die first in the horror movie?
So, because Erin and I kind of stick together, and we'd grab each other and run, and one of you is usually ahead of us.
And I'm
slow. And I'm slow. So if there's something chasing me, I'm the first to go. Is that what you're getting at? Appreciate that.
Pretty much, yeah.
Appreciate that. All right, so let's never talk to Sabrina again. Erin, who do you think would go first?
Sorry, Derek. I think it'd be Derek. He's the one that is not scared of anything and is just going to try to collect that evidence while something's just hunting him. Yep.
I just
Oh, that's such a good point.
the camera's
Right.
rolling. Whatever happens, just keep them rolling.
As long as
It'll
we
show
got that
up.
evidence, I guess.
But in the same token, you need that, right? And coming back to what we
Sure.
talked about the first half.
Sure. Yeah. Or self-preservation is also good.
Correct. Right. All of it, but all of that leads into the team dynamic that makes us effective.
Okay.
You know, Sabrina and Erin, you guys are tuned in a little bit more to who the individuals are as people. You guys are kind of our cavalry unit, so to speak, right? You guys are kind of like sitting behind the front lines. You're kind of like throwing us warning signs if need be. And that is something that we lacked prior to you guys coming in, where Derek ran in, I hesitantly followed, and then we captured some things, and then the time was up and we left. Right, we did that for years.
It's like a microcosm of this of what we do here with these episodes.
Right, but now when we investigate, it's very much like almost like a Derek, I'm gonna be tugging on your excitement strings here, like the Gettysburg thing, right? I mean, it's like some Derek runs into battle, doesn't give a crap what's in front of him. He's going, right? And then there's me, who's not going to let Derek die, but I'm going to also be a little bit slower getting to it. And then we have Sabrina and Erin just sitting back there saying, hey, there's a guy coming up on the left flank. Hey, there's a guy coming up on the right flank, you know? And I can honestly say, and I think that our evidence shows this, if you look back through our timeline, in the time that we brought Erin on, and then again, there was another shift once we brought Sabrina on, we can see an improvement in the evidence that we collected.
Not only the evidence, but ultimately, like the long run, the end game to these things. We're trying to find out who these people are, where they came from, right? And we weren't able to get as much detail as we have in the past, you know, before they came on, before we were able to really put the picture together. And, you know, using all of our tools and everything, we've been able to do that more so than anything that I can recall. Even the EVPs you've been talking about, we've been getting more of those ever since they've kind of come on board here too. So it's like everything at once. You can kind of see a change in everything.
That's pretty incredible.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. There's one bald guy and one heavyset guy that are sitting in a room. Kids don't want to talk to us.
Sounds like a bad joke.
Well, women don't want to. Women didn't want to talk to us because a lot of them were abused. A lot of them were in these situations where, you know, men could not be trusted. And so we kind of like slowly starting to lighten our appearance with Erin, and then whenever Sabrina came on, even more so, right? And now we have a 50-50 split. And like honestly, and you know, tell me if I'm wrong, but the evidence shows it. And you know, in future episodes, we're gonna have the whole group on, hopefully more often than not.
Yeah.
Right, because we do have a lot to talk about as far as
because we barely touched into any of that here.
yeah, I mean, this is the way this goes, right? I mean, we have a lot of investigations to talk about, a lot of evidence to talk about, but I think that it's very important to not only talk about the evidence, but what allowed us to gather that evidence, what allowed us to get that story, what that story told us.
And these guys are such a big part.
Yeah, absolutely. So unfortunately, we are out of time. So Erin, Sabrina, Derek, you know, let's continue this journey, right?
We'll do this again very
let's
soon.
continue this journey. And for everybody listening in and watching, thank you for joining us again. And join us next week, Thursday at 9:00. And we will venture yet again across the bridge, and we'll see what we find. Thanks so much for joining.
Thank you, guys.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.